My name is Marshall. I am the facilitator of the Experience More Tour, and I am sitting here tonight with Aaron Long from Arc'teryx. And what we're going to do is explore the snow-oriented product that's coming out this fall. Welcome, Aaron. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, Marshall. Glad everybody else was able to join us this afternoon and evening for the folks who are calling in from the East Coast. Yeah, start to be able to talk ski and snow. We've had a few of these. We talked Beta SL and EPE over the summer. Then we chatted about footwear, and now we
Yep.
get to talk about one of my favorite categories, the snow gear, which is kind of the fun stuff. I love playing in the snow come winter time. So yeah, and like Marshall said, if you guys have questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat or hop off mute and ask them. We're happy to derail. And if there's
Yeah.
a product that we're not talking about that you have questions on, please feel free to jump in.
Yeah, so what we're going to do tonight is cover the snow category. We're going to parse out a bit like how ARC views whether it be backcountry touring, free ride, and or resort. And so we're going to look at a few products and explore kind of within there. But then there's some products that cross over, and so we're going to explore some of that too because I do have some. I need a little clarity, and so Aaron, hopefully you can provide some of that clarity with us. But before we do. What gives you your expertise? What's your job at ARC that sort of brings you such expertise in this product?
Yeah, I mean, first off, I've been with Arc'teryx for 10 years. Monday is my official 10-year anniversary, so I've spent a
Congratulations.
lot of time with Arc'teryx
Yeah.
in many different roles. Right now, I work in trade marketing and I specialize in product education. So I'm the brand wholesale trainer, and so I go and train all of the accounts that aren't our brand stores. Work on the curriculum with folks like Ben and Marshall on Experience More, anything on Almer Sports Pro Club. And then I help educate our territory managers and our sales team so that they're tuned up and ready to chat with their buyers when it comes into sell-in season. And yeah, I kind of just drive that whole product ed for our side of the business. So fun world to be in. Yeah, I get to talk about the cool stuff.
Yeah, and you get to go to every corner of it as well, right? Whether it be climbing, whether it be hiking. We're going to talk about snow here, footwear, harnesses, you name it, right? Equipment. You get to get a little understanding into all these little nooks and crannies of ARC, and
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
always
all of those categories, and I'm kind of like nice place in between like merchants and product. When I go up to Vancouver, our desk is up on the design center, so it is right
nice.
there on the design floor. I'm sitting across the hall from everybody who's designing stuff that's coming out, 2 years into the future, and so yeah, I get to see it really up close and personal, and it's a very fun place to be able to poke around and learn the secrets and
Well, I've been
keep them.
poking around the website to see what snow sports products are dropping, right? And I'm always kind of looking to see if there's anything that interests me. And there's plenty out there this season, and we're going to cover a few of those. I think we're going to end on one that I'm super keen on, which is the Rush insulated jacket. So, but we'll take an exploration before through that before we get there. And before we fully dive in, right? You've shared with us a video that's going to give a nice, sort of Arc'teryx overview of the snow category. But before we run this, it's got two people in this video. Can you give us a little introduction to the two folks we're going to see in this video?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Megan is one of our designers who's a designer for ski and snow on the women's side of the design. And then Ian Hoffman is our brand product education director, and he's been with the company for, oh gosh, longer than I've been, for maybe 12 or 13 years now. And he started on the color team, led color, which is one of the coolest, like quirkiest parts of our business.
And it drives
You
a
know,
lot of product too. It's actually kind of
it
cool, as we'll
it
see.
feeds into everything that we do.
Yeah.
Color is very, very important to the Arc'teryx brand. But now he's kind of in product education, and he knows the world really well. So this video is going to kind of just show a really broad overview of how we categorize ski and snow. So we've got touring kit, we've got what free riding kit. Whatever that means, and then we've got resort pieces. So we'll learn a little bit more about that in this short little video here.
Snow is about snowboard and ski. It's about expression and some durability for descending, but set up for comfort. I am here today to talk about snow, and I'm here with Megan. Megan, tell me about our categories in ski and snowboard.
In snow, we focus on 3 different categories: touring, freeride, and resort. Whatever model you look to in snow, we always have a technical feature set. You're always going to have a helmet compatible hood. We have ergonomic articulation throughout every model. It's consistent throughout. When focusing on touring, we really look to self-propelled adventures and that efficiency for ascent. With freeride, we really focus on that durability for descent and freedom to explore. With resort, we're really looking for that premium on-piste solution, focusing on warmth.
So if we were to do a deep dive into them, I mean, let's start with Rush.
Yeah, so looking at our Rush here, we're really focused on weight, breathability, and ventilation, touring specific features. So looking at our chest pocket and our hand pockets, making sure they're super functional within our packs, and then always solving for harness and compatibility as well.
So harness is like for glacier travel, you're packed with everything you need for the day. And when we get into Sabre and Sentinel, we're talking freeride. What's so amazing about these two pieces?
Yeah, with freeride, focusing on that durability.
Yeah.
We also focus on expression. Looking at our color blocking, here we see our most wild expressions. And then our freeride features, we have large storage solutions, really everything you need for that slack country access, looking at really large hand pockets and super easy chest pockets.
Outstanding. And resort, some super warm, comfortable, cozy pieces.
In resort this season, we have carryover Makai and Nita. And then for our newness, we look to the Fissile and the Endessas. Super excited about these. Within resort, we focus on that versatility. So bringing in premium features with removable hoods and snow skirts. We always have our goggle wipe, and here we're really solving for that warmth. So all of our insulated models within resort really look to use that down insulation and really focusing for comfort and all-around style.
Okay, Megan, if we were to like step back and actually just look at snow, if we needed everyone to know 3 things about the 3 categories, what should they know?
With touring, we're always focused on self-propelled adventures, looking at that efficiency for ascent. Moving into freeride, focusing on durability, aesthetic and expression, and comfort. With resort, we're really looking for that warmth, comfort, and style.
So cool. I want them all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love it, right? Great tour through sort of the way Arc draws these categories, whether it be touring, right? Focus on the ascent. I love that. Free ride, right? Freedom of expression, right? You can get a little more bold here with fit and with color. And then resort, really Arc views that through that lens of some versatility, but really warmth, adding warmth into the product.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, does that sort of jive with what you're seeing as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's a really quick breakdown. And if anybody's interested in diving more into that, I just launched 3 new videos on the Arc'teryx Resource Center, and each video goes more in depth on touring, on freeride and resort, and it'll actually pick apart some of the products within those categories and give you a little bit more of a deeper understanding on there. So feel free to check out the Resource Center on experiencemore.com if you are interested in learning more about that stuff.
Sweet. Well, let's dive in ourselves right here, right now. And
Yep.
let's begin with the freeride category. This is a growing category, right? She referenced it as slack country, right? So maybe not human powered on the ascent, maybe a little human powered at the end, right? That final little quarter mile up. But really,
Yeah.
this is about going down and going down
Yeah.
fast.
Yep. Going down fast, maybe doing some tricks. So this is, this could be on the resort or at the resort. This could also be cat skiing or heli skiing if you're fortunate enough to hop into a helicopter. But I also think that this Sabre so Sabre is for the men's side of it, and then Sentinel would be the ladies' side. These jackets are really kind of your go-to. I think that if you're just looking for your first Arc'teryx ski jacket, a lot of the times like you could just look to Sabre or Sentinel, and specifically the Sabre jacket, Sabre pant, Sentinel jacket, or Sentinel bib. And this would be a really great versatile hard shell that you could use for just about any kind of ski activity and any season and environment that you'd like to. So Sabres and Sentinel, it's an 80D material, so it's very, very durable, while still being fairly lightweight. And it's got a flannel backer, so there's a lightweight, like almost a soft shell style flannel backer. So it's not insulated, but it does have a little bit of added warmth thanks to that backer. And then outside of that, it's fully featured to skiing and snow. So you've got that helmet compatible hood, you've got the underarm vents, you've got plenty of pockets, you've got that big dump pocket inside for storing hats, gloves, skins if you needed to, and then it has that that really lightweight powder skirt. So you've got that full like storm kind of fortress. And again, this is just a really versatile hard shell for ski and snow category overall, but it is in that free ride, focused on the descent.
Yeah, and so here you see the Saber in the men's, the Sentinel in the women's, right? And they're going to have a similar feature set, but designed by different design teams, right? Arc does parse that out for men's and women's, and the women's get to design the women's products. What are we seeing here from a fit standpoint, or maybe a difference even between these two?
Yeah, Saber's and Sentinel's a little bit more relaxed than like a Rush or than a ski touring piece. You want plenty of room to layer, plenty of room to move around, and if you are getting up in the air doing some tricks, that extra fabric or extra like looseness is it helps just not get caught up in the materials. And then it's a fairly long jacket as well. It does have a two-way zip, so you can open it up if you are getting in and out of your car, in and off the lift, or you just need a little bit more room around the hips. You can open up that zipper from the bottom, so that two-way zipper is a pretty nice feature for the length of that jacket. And then the model, the male model who's wearing that kind of like denim color, he is wearing a pair of Saber bibs, and that bib is a full patrol bib. You're unable to see it in the jacket, but it's plenty of coverage, big old pocket up in the chest, and so great for added warmth, added storm protection, and some folks just love to have a bib when they're skiing or snowboarding.
Yeah, well, if you're like me and you're in the snow a lot, it's nice to have the full coverage,
Yeah.
for sure. So this is the Saber Sentinel kit, right? Men's in the Saber, women's in the Sentinel. And like you said, it to me it seems like that one go-to if somebody's looking for a shell that they want to take out skiing, doing some lift access, maybe a little light, human powered, but this really is the go-to piece. Um,
Yeah, and the family's grown a lot. It's kind of like, if you're looking for a hard shell, just an overall jacket, you're probably going to look at a beta jacket from Arc'teryx. And I think when you get into ski and snow, oftentimes you're looking at Saber and Sentinel. So the family is growing quite a bit. There's a lot more silhouettes and a lot more fabric choices. There's insulated options with these. And so on this next slide, you'll see one of my favorite silhouettes in Saber this season. This is the Saber Relaxed Anorak. And, the Anorak silhouette, that relaxed fit, definitely some style points there. And so, with that Anorak, you're going to have a little bit better coverage. You're going to have a little bit more added warmth because, you only have that half of the zipper, and then you've got a lot of extra material with that big kangaroo pocket in front of you. You got the two underarm vents, and then you have a side entry zipper so you can get in and out of the jacket a little bit easier. And then my key takeaway, or one of the coolest things where I was like, wow, that's rad. Like that's something to pay attention to, is the denier of this garment. So this is a 200D, where that Saber and the Sentinel jacket was at 80D. This amps it up to a 200D nylon canvas, very rugged, very durable face fabric. And we're going to see that kind of come into next season. This is a little bit of an Easter egg of what's to come. And this is kind of thanks to that EPE membrane, which is a little bit lighter, and it allows us to increase the denier of the face fabric without, too much weight sacrifice.
Yeah, right. So, in the Saber jacket that we were looking at, and the Sentinel jacket, going with an 80 denier face fabric, and then having that Gore-Tex warm backer, or that SSD backer, the flannel backer, brushed polyester, so many ways to call it, right? But it's that light flannel, kind of like a flannel sheets almost vibe. So not a ton of
Exactly, yeah.
insulation, but a nice softness to it. Whereas in this garment, we're gonna bump up to the 200D, which I've got a sample here of the 200D, and just feeling it, it does feel like canvas. It has this like nice texture to it. Because it's so big, it really flexes and moves, and so it has this kind of nice overall softness. But because it's so burly, right, it's not like a drape. It's like really cool vibe. And like Aaron said, it seems like Arc is kind of honing in on this, not only for its feel, right? And this in the saber category, it does that expression is really as important as the technical need to have something really durable. But folks who are freeriding are getting after it, right? They're getting into the
Yeah.
rocks, they're getting into it, and so having this security of
Yeah.
something like a 200D, like I don't think I've seen a 200 denier jacket before.
This is the first I've seen it. I mean, I remember I was like wowed when we switched to the Alpha SV to 100D. I was like, wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
and
Like
that
that's
feels
really
heavy,
durable.
right? Not heavy,
It
but it
does,
feels
yeah.
armor-like, and a 200 is
Substantial.
really
And
really
like, yeah, I mean, Arc'teryx is known for making like the most bomber, most durable, long-lasting hard shells in the market. And so, it makes sense if we can find this unique fabric and Gore can source it for us, then why not boost it up and make it just as bomber as we can?
right. And so here's two photos I snapped with my microscope here in the office. And one thing you notice in the 200D is not only is it there's sort of a lot of denier in the yarns themselves, but they're very close packed, right? And so one of them in one direction gets it's called a flat yarn, and so the fibers don't really cross. That gives it a little bit of a sheen in that direction. And the others are what's called a false twist. That's in the vertical direction there. And that is going to give it a little bit of ability to be soft, not really stretch, but kind of give it really nice movement. And so versus what you see on the right, double false twist, that's going to be really give it a lot more softness overall in the 80D on the right, and even not even as densely packed, right? So again, giving additional softness, which that saber jacket and the Sentinel really do want to have, right? You just want to disappear off you, whereas
Yeah.
this saber relaxed fit really is making a statement.
Yeah, and sabers do feel soft, or Sentinel jackets, they feel soft. It feels like a soft shell almost, but
Yeah.
it's definitely a hard shell. I think when you bump into that 200D, like that's when you start to see like the more relaxed silhouette. So you've got a relaxed pant, you've got a relaxed anorak, and you're just having a little bit more room to play around in a
Yeah, I don't
fabric.
think you'd want that very snug. So you want to
No,
have that relaxed fit.
you wouldn't. You'd be
Right.
pretty
And
stiff.
I love this concept of relaxed fit, right? I was perusing your blogs, and there's one in there about designing in relaxed fit, right? Where some of your athletes, and this was focusing on a female athlete, it was really she wanted more of a relaxed fit, so she found herself either sizing up or selecting men's products to have a little bit more room. And
We've
Arc was
found
like,
a lot
no,
of that. Yeah.
yeah,
And Arc'teryx is still going to make that kind of pinnacle ski mountaineering, like, svelte pieces that are more athletic. But for places like ski and snow, that's always not always like the solution. And you still get great articulation, you still get good body mapping, but it just gives you, a little bit of better flexibility to move, to get up into the air, to throw like heavy base layers on underneath you. And it's just more democratic for different body types.
mhm,
And as well as the style, just kind of, like
yeah,
them skinny jeans were in for a while, and now they're kind of baggy, straight-legged jeans, and
right.
it just kind of flows with like what the customers want. And I think with ski and snow, you're just seeing a little bit more of that, like, fun, playful, and just like, yeah, that looser design. But it's still, you take that jacket and look at it inside out. There's still patterning, there's still articulation, it's still Arc'teryx DNA.
Yeah, no, it's just this idea that function drives form, right? And we're really used to maybe those alpine silhouettes from Arc and the Alpha and the Beta, but now in the snow, right? That term freedom of expression is really drives that, and we're going to see that as we move into the next products. I do have a
Yeah.
question here from Kara around does the 200D you have to take care of that any differently? And no,
No, I mean, honestly, you'd probably have to care for it less because it is so bomber. But I will say that it is a Gore EPE, so that uses a C0 DWR. So you're going to want to wash this jacket more frequently than maybe you're used to with the old Gore-Tex. That C0 DWR is very prone to contamination and oils and sweats and dirt and grease from the lift. And so you're just going to want to wash that jacket more frequently. So if you're out skiing, maybe 6 to 7 days and you're getting crushed on, you notice that jacket's wetting out, time to pop it in the washer, put it in the dryer, and then you should be good to go for the next weekend or for the next ski trip. So
absolutely right. I'll always do it preemptively. That's my thought.
yeah.
And Aaron, so okay, that's the saber, right? Inbounds we're talking about, or maybe side country, slack country, right? But there's another sort of use case, and you get out there and use it, right? When would you switch into something like a rush jacket? What kind of trips would you be taking where you'd want to get into the rush?
Yeah, once you talk into like rush, in this picture's, Tatum Minot this is a perfect example. Tatum Minot is one of our athletes out of Banff, Calgary area, and she's hiking uphill right now. And so anytime you're spending a little bit more day of your day hiking, getting exercise, it looks like it's not a cold, like absolutely miserable day. And so this is going to be a little bit more breathable. It is going to offer that more of that range of motion. It's not quite as baggy as a Saber or a Sentinel. And so that Rush being that Gore-Tex Pro, it also trims down some of the feature set. So you're not going to have a powder skirt on this garment. And it's, again, just a little bit more of an athletic fit. This would be more of that time where, hey, maybe the weather's a little bit better. Maybe you're spending a little bit more of your day hiking uphill. If I was like climbing Mount Hood, where I'm spending most of the day hiking and climbing, I'd probably pick a Rush versus a Saber. But if I was on a storm day and it was like especially cold, maybe I'd pick my Saber instead. But honestly, there's a lot of overlap. These aren't like crazy one jacket or the other. You could go, it could be a decision based on color and what you want to choose for the day. There's like that we're really parsing out the details here, but Rush is specific, like more towards ski touring.
Yeah, I mean, really, this is in that Gore-Tex Pro category. So that in addition to, having no snow skirt, in addition to having a slightly more slim fit, this is also going to have the Gore-Tex Pro, right? And so this really helps to differentiate it when you talk to customers and trying to figure out
Yeah,
what's the best
and
product.
no flannel backer. It's going to have that
Yeah.
woven backer, and so going to just be a little bit more breathable than a Saber or a Sentinel. And as you can see, there's no powder skirt. Sometimes that's like a big one for folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great
Either way,
picture
right?
of
Some
them
people
just
love them,
pulled
some
up.
people don't. So, right,
Yeah,
that can be a deal
yeah.
breaker one way or the
I know
other.
people cut them out of their jackets, so
And then Wendy's throwing out there, does that one have a double zipper as well?
yes, I believe it does.
Right, to get access to that
Yeah,
harness.
and this is a great picture of the two backers up close, the bearded backer and the clean shorn.
Yeah, so thanks for that one. The brushed polyester is what you're gonna see on the Saber, right? So this is a knit where we actually then take it and we brush it, which breaks some of the fibers. And so now some of those poly fibers are gonna be sticking up. That gives it that real subtle flannel vibe and feel to it, but you can still see through it, right? To the white, which is the membrane underneath. It's still breathable and works really well. But sometimes we want something quite a bit more durable, and that's what we're aiming for in the Gore-Tex Pro category. These are laminates designed for going into extreme areas for possibly extended periods of time. I like to think of it, your life really depends on these products doing what they say they're going to do. And so we got to up the ante on this. We got to make it more durable. And so we invented this new backer called the woven backer, and this is exclusive to Gore. So rather than being a knit, it's a weave, but it's a very loose, open weave so that we can optimize for breathability. So not only is it stronger, it actually ends up being more breathable as well. But what a weave will always do is add some body to the fabric, a little stiffness to the fabric. Now, that feels nice when you want like that armor-like piece, right? It just has that feeling of armor. And that's what that Pro backer really adds overall to it. And we have a question here from Chang around, 200D versus Gore-Tex Pro, what would be the difference? Well, weight would be a giant difference, right? So
Yeah.
you can get a lot of that durability in the Pro that you might be looking for in the 200D in half the weight, if not even less than half the weight.
Yeah.
So it comes down to weight, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes you want that like that burliness of the 200D. It just feels good, like wearing a pair of Carhartts, right? It feels
Yeah.
nice.
Like the face fabric of that 200D is going to be tough to compete. I mean,
Yeah.
but like I said, it's kind of an Easter egg for what's coming out next season. So, or next winter. So,
So there you go. The Rush coming in like that Gore-Tex Pro, no powder skirt, no snow skirt, and a little slimmer silhouette for when the ascent is the focus, right? When you want to optimize breathability, really keep things safe for you as well as you might be out there for a longer period of time.
yeah.
Really sticking it out there as you get into the high alpine.
Yeah,
So
more packable, lighter weight, but I think those two jackets, like if you're confused or if you're looking at all the jacket offerings that Arc'teryx has, like you can probably pick either the Saber or the Sentinel or the Rush jackets, and you'll be good for any
yeah.
skiing, ski touring, resort riding you want to do. And you don't really have to give too much thought about it other than like what color you're going to pick or what colorway. But there's a lot of blend and crossover on those two, but those are definitely the most popular. They're the fan favorites. They're like like go-to pieces from Arc'teryx, and you honestly can't go wrong with either one of those. But sometimes like that, base layer, mid layer shell system is a lot for some people to wrap their head around. I think that should always be your first ski jacket, but some folks need the extra insulation. And so what Marshall and I thought would be cool to talk about is not just like the insulation jackets that we have in their feature sets, but actually talk about how you utilize insulation and kind of this concept of like active insulation when you're using that jacket to move in and you're using that jacket and wearing it all day versus a jacket that's made mostly for stationary warmth, where maybe that jacket lives in the backpack for quite a bit of time. And then when you're stopped and you're sedentary, maybe you're, on your lunch break, or you're changing over your, pulling your skins off and transitioning to your downhill, maybe there's another insulation package for that. So that's kind of what our, conversation as far as insulation is going.
I like to think of it as like I don't know, a coat, right? Which is you're going to go out and do things in versus like a puffy, which is better for like kind of standing around and keeping you warm in those sort of low output activities, right? And I can think in skiing here, there's definitely applications, and let's dive into that right now. So let's take a look at the Sabre, right? Where does this Sabre insulated jacket kind of fall into, whether it's active or more static?
I mean, I would say it's definitely more of an active shell. I mean, this jacket's going to be one you put on in the morning from the lot, and you're wearing it through the whole day at the resort or ski trip, and it offers a lot of flexibility because it does have the underarm vents. It's not super like mega insulated. It's not insulated with down. It uses an 80-gram core loft insulation, so it's a little bit warmer than what an Atom hoodie would be if you're familiar with the Atom hoodie.
What's an Atom have in it?
60 grams.
60. Okay.
So this is 80 grams. And so, yeah, a little bit of a step up, but I will say, like, I typically gravitate towards a shell. I got a good buddy, Josh, I ski with like the majority of the season. He's always wearing more insulation than me. And he has an insulated jacket, the old Tari jacket. And it uses 80 grams of insulation, and he wears that thing all the time. And sometimes he'll even throw like an Atom or a puffy underneath there, where I'm like in a shell and a lightweight Proton or something like that. And so everybody runs a little bit differently. But if you want some insulation, you're going to wear it. This cuts down on the layering. It cuts down on the, that thinking of, what am I going to wear? And then it's fully featured. You've got the helmet compatible hood. You've got the powder skirt. You've got the pass pockets, a dump pocket, underarm vents. And it comes in this rad white, which I thought was like very unique for a Gore-Tex shell. You don't see a lot of like pure white pieces from Arc or from Gore. And so I thought this was a fun one to highlight. Probably not the most visible thing in a snowstorm, but I think the color is actually called white out now that I think about it.
Right. Yeah, it's actually technically really hard to make white, because what happens is we laminate these and then add seam tape underneath. You get what's called grin through, where you can actually see through the whole laminate package, and it can be a little technically challenging to treat the face fabrics in such a way that you don't see like the skeleton from the inside out. It's actually a pretty bold challenge that Arc set out to us, and it's really cool to see it achieved in the Sabre insulated.
I'm excited to see this one in person for sure.
Right, and I don't think of this as a puffy, right? This is a like put on and go ski all day.
No, I mean it's got that Gore. It's a Sabre jacket. You can ski in the trees in it. You don't have to worry about like nicking it. Like if you were wearing a down puffy on the downhill, like you maybe want to stay away from the tight trees, right?
Yeah. Whereas this is going to be a little burlier. So again, for that active insulation, so somebody who wants to ski all day in it, do some activity, but in a really cold environment, this would be right where I point them. But then we have more of that static insulation piece, right? And I can not even envision, this is what I do is when I go backcountry touring, right? I'm using kind of thin layers on the way up, usually a windstopper piece. And then as soon as I get to the top, I'm going to grab a snack, right? Do the skin transition. So I will instantly pull out of my pack a puffy. So that before I cool down, but I need that puffy to be breathable so I can dry, get the sweat out of me. And it also needs to be light. And this is really an ace.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like a lot of the times uphill, like I'll be wearing like I run pretty warm, especially once I get moving uphill. So I'll wear like a light base layer or a light fleece and maybe a windbreaker or a rush shell or something like that. And then I always have to throw like a down hoodie or a synthetic hoodie on top of it before I get cold. And then I'll maybe take it off to ski down. But the rush insulation kind of gives you the best of both worlds, and that it is much more durable than a puffy, thanks to that Gore Infinium or Gore Windstopper, and it utilizes half Hadron, which is an Arc'teryx innovation where we use a liquid crystal polymer grid stop pattern. Liquid crystal polymer is like Vectran or what is it? Vectran or
Kevlar, same.
Kevlar,
Yeah.
yeah. So a lot of different brands are using it, but it increases the tear resistance of the material like substantially. I thought it was like maybe 4 times or something like that. It's a bomber material. We're very,
Yeah, it's
very
stronger than
lightweight.
steel, actually, the fibers themselves.
Yeah.
We have to go and we dull scissors very quickly as we try to cut through this stuff. It's so
Yeah,
strong.
totally. So yeah, I mean, really cool, innovative material. Again, wind resistant or windproof, water resistant, helmet compatible hood. It's a much more of like it's a little bit baggier. It's kind of like a belay parka for ski touring, but it's really packable. Thanks to like a trim feature set. So there's no underarm vents. Not a lot of extra like bells and whistles. No powder skirt. It's kind of this like we want it to be able to pack away in your backpack. So when you're hiking uphill, it can kind of just live in there. But then when you need it during the stationary periods, that stop and go, transitions, or even an emergency, you can pull that jacket out, and then it's really, really warm. It's 100 grams of Korloff, so it bumps up that insulation. That's as much insulation as an Atom heavyweight. And I had an Atom heavyweight hoodie for like one season. I was like, this is a toaster oven. The thing is super, super warm.
Mhm.
But yeah, this is a jacket that you can like kind of still ski downhill if you are cold or running cold on the downhill. Like you don't have to worry about hitting into the trees or jumping off a little bit of a feature set with it. It's durable enough for that.
Yeah, I mean, I just love that combination that goes into this of the like the 100 grams of insulation, but just that bomber face fabric with the hadron on there, right? So
Yeah.
even and sometimes I am like, actually, I'm gonna ski down with my puffy on at least for the beginning because I'm really
There's
cold, and
certainly, yeah,
so
you'll
you
make
can
like
do
three
it,
turns and you'll be like, oh God, I'm hot again. But yeah, sometimes you
right?
don't
But
want to be
but just
cold.
having the security of that fabric is really strong. I mean, this is just this might be the one piece I pro deal this
It's
with.
really cool. Like this is athlete driven. Like this is a
Yeah.
very, very niche product. This is not the insulated jacket that I think most folks would want for an insulated ski jacket. But if you kind of know what you want, you've got a few Arc'teryx pieces, or you really know like, hey, I want something specifically for ski touring, for ski mountaineering, um, or just a really warm jacket that's lightweight. Like this is a killer piece, and I think it really like highlights that innovation story with that Gore Windstopper
Right.
and the Hadron material, and kind of being this like really packable, go for the mission piece.
Yeah, and all falls in that rush category, right? Where ascent is the thought, right? It's not the descent.
Yeah,
It's about going up, and that really sort of exemplifies. We have this rush category, and we can have these two different installation pieces, and one falls into rush, one falls into saber, but they can be so different. I love that, and it really helps parse that a bit. And,
yeah,
and Aaron did shoot out that this is what used to be we call it Infinium, which is now called Windstopper. Again, thank you. And so that is products that use our membrane technology, but we aren't testing them for waterproofness. We're testing them for windproofness. We're testing them for comfort. So it relieves the need to use, for instance, like waterproof zippers, or even the taping that might happen in this might be more geared towards what's called finish taping rather than seam taping. So it's there to lay the seams flat, but it doesn't have to pass quite the rigorous waterproof specs, and so it can be even
yeah,
lighter, right? And so
yeah,
there's all
yeah,
these
exactly. Yeah,
these sort of reasons to build into it. And honestly, if you're putting this thing on, there's probably not a lot of liquid water out there. So you're just freed from the need of having liquid water.
yeah,
And
for
that's
sure.
where Windstopper excels. It's just focusing on comfort. Yeah, it's a cool
Exactly.
category.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And I mean, there's like this, these are just a few jackets that we have. There's a whole lot of other ski and snow and resort specific insulated jackets. We've got Mackay and Nita. We've got a new jacket, the new Andessa and the Fissile jacket, which are insulated with down. So lots more category that we didn't talk about. But those are some of the highlights that we thought were pretty cool. So like, Saber and Sentinel and Rush are kind of your go-to hard shells. And then there's an insulation story, and you really want to think about like what you're utilizing it for most of the day, and kind of how much insulation you want. I see a question here from Nicholas. Do the pieces in Freeride and Resort include Reco? They all do. Every single piece of ski and snow include a Reco reflector on the top, on the bottoms, as well as the jackets, and that even includes like some of the mid layers, like our Proton Hybrid hoodie. So yeah, Reco is included in all of that stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody, and thanks for the questions. Thanks for the participation. Thanks for hanging out with us this evening. We love it. We just are so stoked that y'all want to come and hang with us. And Aaron, always a pleasure to chat with you about this gear. So thank you so much.
Of course, yeah. Easy things to talk about, you know.